quick challenge. Try not to say "Woo!" at least once during this video, because RX fights have impact. Like, you can feel the punches through the screen. Okay, here we go. RX action starts now. We've seen Kotaro fighting without the suit, pounding monsters like it's part-time work. Most of us would be tired after one punch. For Kotaro, that's just warm-up. But now, let's get to the part we've been waiting for. Kamen Rider Black RX in action. Skullmaster showed up with two sidekicks. The Skullma. Basically the same monster, just missing the horns and the budget. They are supernatural-type Kaima monsters under Maribaron. This trio played a big role in pushing Kotaro toward his rebirth as Black RX. After Kotaro escaped the Crisis Empire's ship, these Kaima monsters were sent to chase him down right away. Like someone said, "Don't let him get to episode 2! Skullmaster met his end in a dramatic water explosion as their last resort to terminate RX. But even after Skullmaster was gone, the Skullma later kept showing up on different missions. No leader, no promotion. Gatezone deployed Kubilikan, disguised as a human so well that he went full method acting, stealing a car, stealing clothes, and blending right in. If blending in means driving like a villain in a chase scene. They crash into an abandoned warehouse. His disguise burns away, and we learn he's actually a robot. He fires a scorching heat laser from his right-hand cannon. And slashes with the sharp claws on his left hand. RX knocks his head off with an RX kick, but Kubilikan just grows a napalm cannon head. And just when you think it's over, his second cannon-like head blasts a stream of napalm. RX recharges with sunlight, calls Acrobatter, and brings out the Revolcane. Kubilikan becomes the first Kaima monster to fall to the Revolcane. The Beastman-type Kaima monster, Gina Gizkan, dragged Kotaro and his friends straight into the scorching desert of fierce winds. He can whip up winds reaching a whopping 100 miles per hour. And don't forget his trusty glaive. Gungadin was sent to take out RX before he could finish Rider. Promised a shiny Knight title if he defeated RX. Gungadin went on a rampage, trying to flush our hero out into the open. RX, outmatched, pulled a clever trick, making Gungadin think Rideron was destroyed, while the real car came to life. Gainagamoth set himself up in a cave, like some kind of mad scientist hermit, working on reviving the extinct Gynamoths. But these weren't just regular giant moths. He upgraded their venom, so that anyone infected would have 1 hour before turning into a humanoid Gynamoth. Unfortunately, Reiko, her teacher, and the kids wandered right into the cave like it was a school field trip location. They got trapped, and poisoned. Not a great day. Kotaro rushes in with the cure, but of course, Gainagamoth attacks before he can help them. So Kotaro calls on Rideron to keep the Kaima monster busy. Three Kolkulton hatched and decide to make the Sahara family house their evil headquarters. But Shigeru shows up with the ultimate anti-monster weapon, ice cubes. Turns out cold is their weakness. Who knew the freezer was MVP? Later, when the Kolkulton regroup and jump Kotaro again, they totally overpower him until he transforms into RX, turns the tables, and out-wrestles them like it's Kaima Monster Smackdown. Bujin is a supernatural Kaima monster sent on a very specific mission. Retrieve something from Yosuke Morida, an old friend of Kotaro. Because why attack the hero directly when you can ruin his friendships instead? Bujin can absorb sunlight and fire it back as a weapon, turning daylight into straight-up artillery. And even worse, he can move through reflective surfaces. Mirrors, water, windows. Later, Kotaro learns that Yosuke stole a blueprint for a poison gas satellite weapon the Crisis Empire wants to build. So naturally, Bujin tries the classic villain move. Kidnap the friend, demand the goods. Dynamite is sent after a girl named Tomoko, who happens to be half Chrysesian on her father's side, and is just about to awaken her powers. Dynamite pulls the classic villain move, transforms into her father to trick her. Real sneaky. The final showdown takes place at a theme park, with RX and Dynamite fighting across rides and walkways. Even the Ferris wheel gets caught in the action. Nothing says high-stakes battle like throwing hands in front of cotton candy and roller coasters. Dynamite attacks using his pincer claw, and he can spew acidic bubbles. Achpechi is a cactus-like alien monster deployed by Ghidorah, intending to transform human into cactus slaves, under Achpechi's control. Seeing Ghidorah's failure, Maribaron steps in. She proposes a more complete and sinister method, sacrificing a human life to permanently strengthen Achpechi. She deceives a young girl named Chika, playing on her emotional vulnerability, and convinces her to surrender her life to the monster. This time, Ghidorah personally joins Achpechi in the battle against RX, fighting alongside the monster to finally crush Kotaro. Kotaro fights fiercely, destroying Achpechi and freeing Chika from the spell. Maribaron's plot collapses, and Ghidorah's unauthorized scheme is exposed, causing further tension and mistrust within the Crisis Empire. Dogma-Logma is a crisis monster designed specifically for deception. As part of Maribaron's strategy to break Kotaro's spirit, Dogma-Logma uses his ability to create perfect clones of the people closest to him: Shigeru, his friends, and Reiko. The plan is to weaponize Kotaro's trust, forcing him to hesitate, doubt, and suffer emotionally before the final blow. Scryed was once so powerful that Grand Lord Crisis had him destroyed, just to keep him under control. But Gatezone rebuilt him and sent him to Earth, where Scryed began using discarded junk to trap people inside it, raising a literal garbage army. When RX first fought Scryed, he was nearly defeated and barely escaped with minor injuries. But Rideron and Acrobatter's life energy somehow intercepted Scryed's control over the trash army, freeing the captured humans and turning the battle back in RX's favor. Scryed's got a whole toolbox of nightmare features. He can control garbage and machines, and even trap humans inside piles of junk. His right arm can switch between a bladed claw and a triple-barreled machine gun. He's also hiding guns in his right thigh. And he's got a secondary head that can fire lasers from its eyes. Maribaron sends the dream-stalking Kaima monster, Zunojin, to attack Reiko inside her own mind, turning her dreams into a psychological battleground to break Reiko's spirit to get to Kotaro. Because if you can't beat a Kamen Rider in real life, you try the nightmare route. With the help of a dying Karu, RX uses the Crisis Marine's dream machine to dive into Reiko's subconscious. Yes, RX goes full Inception mode to save her. Flami Glami is sent to recover the G crystal, stolen by Dr. Sam and his daughter Kirara. But their escape ship crashed, the G crystal is lost. RX manages to drive Flarmy Glarmy off the first time, and Kirara eventually learns the G crystal has been picked up by Shigeru and Kengo, so Flarmy Glarmy plays dirty. He possesses Kirara to take the crystal back. Death Garon is sent to stop Kotaro from rescuing Hitomi Sahara, who has been kidnapped by Maribaron. With his Macro Eyes ability, RX discovered a mysterious red button on the left side of Death Garon's chest. Yes, Crisis monsters come with manual access buttons, and pressing it transports them into the Desert of Death to pursue Maribaron. Death Garon offers his loyalty to Maribaron in exchange for redemption, but Maribaron plays him hard. Death Garon gets sealed inside a chamber with RX, along with a fake Hitomi meant to break Kotaro's resolve. Death Garon destroys the replica, triggering Kotaro's overwhelming grief and rage. This emotional surge causes RX to awaken his Robo Rider form, allowing him to blast out of the sealed chamber and unleash the Vortex Shooter. And Death Garon? He's completely outmatched. Robo Rider beat the hell out of him, because the Crisis Empire never collected fighting data on Robo Rider. Death Garon has no counters, no strategies, nothing. It's a one-sided beatdown, leaving Death Garon heavily damaged and completely betrayed by the Empire he tried to impress. Next Sticker is dispatched to stop Kotaro while he searches for Hitomi. Using his ability to control others like puppets, Next Sticker takes over Kasumi no Joe, forcing him to fight Kotaro just as he's on the verge of rescuing her. Kotaro transforms into RX and manages to break the control by using one of Joe's own size to disrupt the device influencing him. Once Joe is freed, RX shifts into Robo Rider, converting Acrobatter into Roboizer. With Robo Rider's cold precision and firepower, he completely overwhelms Next Ticker, ending the Puppet Master's control once and for all. The Triplon capture Shigeru and quickly overpower both Kotaro and Joe, leading to their capture as well. But things take a wild turn when RX unlocks his new form, Bio Rider. The Triplon units combine into United Triplon, ready for round 2. But Bio Rider pulls a fast one, using Acrobatter transformed into McJabber to launch a surprise counterattack. With Hitomi now fully transformed into Princess Garonia, Kotaro has to find a way to awaken Hitomi's true memories. Musalabisala. Using his dark powers, he turns Shigeru and the other children into vampires. But things take a shocking turn when even Kotaro is bitten, twice. With his strength fading, Kotaro transforms into Bio Rider, creating an antidote to fight back against the infection. Pretending to fall under Musalabisala's control, Kotaro plays the ultimate trick, then strikes back. The city's heating up. Kaima monster Kroizel cooks up a plan to roast everyone alive using an artificial sun. Teaming up with the Chaps and Skullma, Kroizel goes after a scientist needed for their recipes. Scheme. But before things boil over, RX steps in. When the scientist's kids get captured, their dad tries to fight back with a laser of his own. Talk about bringing science to a monster fight. But Kroizel strikes him down, turning up the heat once again. That's when RX switches gears, becoming Robo Rider. The metallic hero goes head-to-head with the Frying Fiend. Troubles? Appealing! The Kaima monster Byakuya launches a slippery scheme, using bananas to infiltrate a gold depository and steal the loot. That's right, bananas and bank robbery. What could go wrong? After capturing Shigeru and Saburo, the Fiend knocks Kotaro out cold with a flying banana and hauls him off like a prize bunch. But the joke's on Byakuya. Kotaro's alive. A split-second Robo Rider transformation saved him. When Byakuya goes bananas again, RX shifts to Bio Rider, using MacJabber and his liquid powers to slip through every attack. In the end, Byakuya's banana plan got peeled apart. The blue slug Kaima monster Bang Gong slithers into action. His target? A necklace held by Joe's old flame Silo, containing secret battle plans against the Crisis Empire. Bang Gong badly injures Joe. Using Rideron, RX rescues them both, and even tackles the slimy menace head-on. But the fight isn't over yet. Bangong kidnaps Scylla and lures our heroes to an abandoned warehouse. After an ambush by Bangong and the Chaps, Kotaro transforms again to face the monster. When Bangong snatches the necklace, RX shifts to Bio Rider, chasing him down outside. With his Bio Blade, he slices off Bangong's antennas and finishes him for good. RX saves Joe and Scylla just in time, before Ghidorah's bomb blows the place sky high. Talk about cutting it close. The Kaima monster, Ant Ront, turning a fun day into total mayhem, while in the shadows, someone familiar watches. When Ant Ront hurls a giant boulder, the heavy hero gets jammed up. Ant Ront clogs his joints with dirt. Thinking fast, RX switches to Bio Rider, gliding through the fight with ease and forcing Ant Ront to retreat. Later, as fate would have it, RX and Shadow Moon finally face off. Two long-lost brothers-in-arms clash in a fierce, emotional showdown, their powers shaking the battlefield itself. Every strike, every counter, a test of strength, skill, and memory. With RX's fighting data now in Shadow Moon's hands, their duel becomes even more intense. A battle between light and darkness itself. But before a victor can emerge, Ant Ront and Ghidorah interrupt the duel, trapping both riders inside a massive anthill. Just when things look hopeless, Rideron bursts in to break them free. Bio Rider turns into liquid form, surging through the dirt and washing Ant Ront away once and for all. Crisis strikes in the most unusual way. Bosgun is searching for a lost remote keyboard connected to a device built by the Crisis Empire to alter human cells. When a curious boy finds it and starts typing, chaos erupts. He turns anyone he dislikes into pigs. Talk about an instant army of bacon. And he turned himself into a humanoid gorilla to become stronger. But soon, he realizes the shocking truth. He can't change back. The Kaima monster, Gainabalas, is sent to capture the gorilla boy, but of course, our hero is ready to stand in their way. A new horror descends upon the city. The sinister Lickback teams up with Ghidorah in a terrifying plan to turn innocent people into vampires. One night, Kotaro stumbles upon a victim attacking passengers inside a car. Without hesitation, he rushes in to save them, only for Lickback himself to appear from the shadows. RX, battling Lickback and the Chaps in a chaotic, multi-front fight, while Joe struggles to free Lickback's hostages and hold off the vampire-controlled victims at the same time. Bosgun unleashes the Kaima monster, Ginakamaki, commanding him to attack Kotaro while using his bizarre ability, manipulating aluminum cans to wreak havoc in the city. Worse, Crisis had been targeting brides for their newest scheme, so Kotaro, Reiko, and Joe cooked up the most Sentai-approved plan possible, a fake wedding to lure the monster out. When Bosgun's new blade proved too powerful, RX shifted into Robo Rider, turning his metal body into the perfect counter. Bosgun's sword couldn't pierce him at all. Gaina Gingham, under Bosgun's command, launched a direct attack on Reiko, sending her to the hospital and prompting Utako Sahara to warn Kotaro to stay away for everyone's safety. This was all part of their plan. Emotionally break Kotaro before physically finishing him. Gaina Gingham's beak bite badly injured Kotaro's eyes. Kotaro managed to transform into Robo Rider, but Bosgun unveiled his new sword, one sharp enough to pierce even Robo Rider's armor, and he had no choice but to call Acrobatter and retreat. Later, Shigeru and Hitomi were captured by Bosgun and his goons. A weakened Kotaro pushed through the pain to battle them, while Joe freed the kids. But after Joe was badly wounded by Bosgun, Kotaro became Bio Rider and fought back. In the final showdown, Ginna Gingham pulled a shocking move. His head suddenly shot off his body like a demonic jack-in-the-box and latched onto Bio Rider, strangling him while his headless body staggered around trying to help. Shadow Moon returned in episode 27, seeking revenge against the Crisis Empire and to finally settle his long-standing rivalry with Kotaro. Matbot, an alien-type monster, was dispatched by the Crisis Empire to trigger a volcanic eruption. As Shadow Moon and RX battle fiercely, their rivalry reaching its boiling point, the Crisis Empire strikes from the shadows. They lure RX to the eruption site with the captive children, intending for the coming eruption to wipe out RX, Shadow Moon, and the children all at once. RX hesitates to continue his battle with Shadow Moon. He can't ignore the two children trapped in danger. But Shadow Moon isn't holding back. He's determined to settle their rivalry once and for all, pushing RX to the edge. RX struggles with his mission: save the children or defeat Shadow Moon. It's a battle of strength, heart, and determination. Even as Shadow Moon is finally defeated, he isn't down for the count. Rising to his feet, he races to save the children, urging RX to focus on stopping the eruption before it's too late. The Crisis Empire unleashes Gimla Gomela, spreading evil butterflies that infect humans and bend them to its will. Colonel Dasmader makes his first appearance, confronting RX and ordering Gimla Gomela to stay out of the battle. Despite the warning, the evil butterflies swarm RX and the infected victims attack relentlessly, turning the fight into a chaotic showdown. Gimla Gomela can breathe fire from his main head, shoot electricity from his dragon-like hands, blast scalding steam from his extra mouth, and strike with a deadly tail attack. RX must fend off both the monster and its throngs of puppets, proving that a rider never backs down. The Kaima monster Mundai Gundai is the one responsible for the death of Kyoko Mataba's parents. He attacks a reservoir, trying to stop water from reaching the city. The fight intensifies, until Ghidorah and the Chaps trap RX in a slime-like substance fired from their bazookas, leaving our hero temporarily immobilized. While the Crisis Empire hoarded water, the people still got their supplies from Marabaron's performing troops. RX found himself in the middle of chaotic crisis scheme. Marabaron tried to stall him, got his own open fire to slow him down. And Ghidorah, as always, charged in swinging like he had something to prove. After a brief clash with Marabaron, Gitezone, and Ghidorah, Kamen Rider Black RX tracked down the water's hidden location, and ran straight into the fiery Kaima monster, Meta Heavy. Meta Heavy dragged RX into the factory's blazing heart, hoping to gain the upper hand. But Kotaro wasn't done yet. Transforming into Robo Rider, he landed a devastating punch, blasting Meta Heavy out of the room and regaining control of the fight. Elgatron and Gatazone were on the hunt for a woman named Yuko, because she carried a mysterious metal plate. One piece of a puzzle that could unleash something disastrous if completed. Their pursuit brought them straight into Kotaro's path. When the two crisis officers finally cornered Yoko, Kotaro stepped in, clashing with both enemies at once. Despite RX's efforts, Gutazone managed to snatch the metals during the chaos. Desperate to stop their plan, Yoko tried to charge at Gutazone and the spire they were constructing. But things spiraled out of control when Kotaro deflected Elgitron's weapon, accidentally blasting the spire and leaving it heavily damaged. Kotaro was ambushed and dragged underground by Ganma, but even beneath the earth, his resolve didn't break. Kotaro transformed into Kamen Rider Black RX, then shifted into Bio Rider, allowing him to slip through the soil and escape back to the surface. Maribaron unleashed Ganma as a diversion. While RX was busy handling Ganma, Maribaron used a young girl to restore an ancient key capable of opening the Kaima Realm, a gateway the Crisis Empire desperately needed for their invasion. After hearing Professor Tadokoro's dying warning that the Crisis Empire intended to destroy the Seto Bridge, Kotaro sped toward the Seto Inland Sea, determined to stop the disaster. RX was intercepted by Boss Gun, who sought to delay him at any cost and keep him from uncovering Crisis's deadly plot. Aboard a ship, RX faced Gazola Gazola. Using his macro eyes, he discovered the horrifying truth. The bomb was hidden inside the Kaima monster's stomach, set to detonate precisely as the ship passed beneath the Seto Bridge. Transforming into Bio Rider, he used the Bio Blade to slice open Gazola Gazola's abdomen, extracted the time bomb, and hurled it into the sea, where it exploded harmlessly before the bridge came into range. The battle then shifted to the shoreline, where Crisis had laid yet another trap. But even their layered schemes couldn't stop RX from pressing forward. Gazola Gazola attempted a desperate retreat, with his tentacles rumbling between his legs. It looked less like a tactical withdrawal, but more like a panicked dash. Kotaro encounters Shuraijin, disguised as a headmaster, secretly manipulating psychic children to tear the country away from the continent itself. And here's a familiar face. The legendary Kenji Oba makes a guest appearance, well known as Space Sheriff Gavin. Fans won't want to miss this epic crossover moment. Unfortunately, he's not transforming into a metal hero this time. He's just here to lend his star power. Of course, he stepped in to help rescue the children, one of them being his own son, giving RX the chance to focus entirely on battling Shuraijin. Maribaron executed a deadly scheme by implanting the Kaima monster Wilkie inside Kotaro, planning to kill him from within. Her plans involved hijacking the city's computer records and branding specific people, including Kotaro, as criminals. Wilkie struck from within, trying to finish RX off. RX collapsed, seemingly dead, just as Maribaron intended. Believing her victory assured, she had RX's body brought before her. At the final moment, RX transformed into Bio Rider, revealing that his liquefied body prevented Wilkie from killing him. Balloon Balloon disguised himself as a flashy, overhyped masked athlete called Great Mask, brainwashing kids, including Shigeru and his friends, into becoming his biggest fans. Naturally, the adults were suspicious, but the kids only cared that Great Mask looked cool. During a rematch against a local boxer, Bio Rider exposed Balloon Balloon's ridiculous disguise. Sensing defeat, Balloon Balloon fled, snatching a boy in his escape because, apparently, kidnapping was his plan B after losing his fan base. After the Devil Beastman Ninja Corps raided a mountain village and captured its people, they ambushed Kotaro, Reiko, and Goro in the woods, only to be stopped by the unexpected return of Joe. Joe infiltrated Bozgun's hideout by disguising himself as one of the Devil Beastman ninjas, until a badly timed coughing fit blew his cover. Gaina Ninpo promptly knocked Joe out and stole his appearance. Once Kotaro discovered the real Joe tied up, Gaina Ninpo finally dropped the act. Bozgun dramatically revealed his grand plan to Kotaro before walking off. Kaima Monster Tenku disguised herself as a miracle, fortune teller, and healer, amazing the public with flashy levitation tricks and dramatic predictions. She easily lured people into helping build a new city for Crisis, because who wouldn't trust someone who floats? Gatezone rolled out his latest Kaima robot, Spingray, with one very questionable mission: kidnap young boys and turn them into Crisis-made Terminators using Boss Gun's brand new Kaima Gun computer. To find the best recruits, they even held what was basically a Crisis-sponsored Counter-Strike tournament. Because why not run an esports event for world domination? Shigeru absolutely crushed the competition, which would normally be great news, except this win got him brainwashed into joining the Terminator squad. With Shigeru and the other top shooters suddenly missing, Kotaro turned to Kyoko for help. Using her water manipulation ability, she traced the boys' trail, like a living GPS, and led Kotaro straight to a hidden cave. Inside, they discovered what Crisis called a training facility. Crisis targeted a human apartment complex as their next foothold for colonization, turning it into a haunted building to scare the tenants out and drove people into a panic. As RX fought through Gainajagram's relentless assault, Dasmader secretly observed and gathering combat data. Once Gainajagram fell, Dasmader's real plan snapped into place. Hidden Laser Sentry activated, firing directly at RX's Sunbask, his solar energy core. The shot struck RX in the abdomen, siphoning the power he needed from the sun. And with his energy compromised, Dasmader finally stepped forward, ready to capitalize on the opening he had engineered. But Dasmader completely forgot about the most important and overwhelmingly powerful part of Black RX, the Kingstone, RX's ultimate power source. It lets RX regain energy from the sun and fully regenerate, making Dasmader's trap completely useless. The Hundred-Eyed Hag, aunt of Mary Baron and a very powerful witch, had a terrifying plan. She absorbed Kyoko, and later even Kotaro, Reiko, and Joe, into the eyes on her forehead, one unlucky victim per eye. But RX isn't one to stay trapped. Kotaro transformed into Bio Rider, slipping free from her clutches. Then switched to Robo Rider to rescue the others. Finally, reverting back to Kamen Rider Black RX, he faced the hag as she morphed into her monstrous eye form. Giddle Riddle proved to be a deadly foe, absorbing RX's attacks and even stealing the power of the Kingstone, rendering RX powerless just as he tried to unleash Kingstone Flash. Just when Giddle Riddle nearly finished RX, Colonel Dasmader appeared, ready to take RX out himself. But Giddle Riddle tried to stop him, only for Dasmader to strike, shrinking the Kaima monster down to a miniature size. In a desperate move, Ghidorah sacrificed his life energy to power Giddle Riddle back up, setting the stage for an even more intense showdown. Fanged Captain Ghidorah of the Kaima Alien Battalion had unleashed his desperate final attack, and lost. Kamen Rider Black RX barely stood victorious, battered, exhausted, and probably wishing for a 5-minute power nap. But rest? Not today, because waiting for his turn stood Armored Captain Gatezone of the Kaima Robot Battalion. To make matters worse, marching beside him was Helgadem, a towering silver Daimajin-style robot whose mere footsteps sounded like someone dropping dumbbells on concrete. The battle was nothing short of brutal. Even Acrobatter, usually unshakable, took a hit so hard it skidded across the dirt. Realizing his partner needed urgent repairs, RX called in Rideron. With a swift leap inside, he made a tactical retreat. The fight was far from over. Dasmader had more tricks waiting, and the second round was even worse. Just as RX activated the Revolcane, Helgadem unleashed his deadly Death Smoke. The Death Smoke slipped into the Kingstone and cut off RX's power source. But RX wasn't alone. Kyoko, Joe, and Reiko-chan rushed in to back him up. Desperate, Gatezun pulled a full-on kamikaze move, detonating himself in an attempt to take RX with him, while his head leaving the rest behind. With Gatezon finally taken down, the Crisis Empire declared full-scale war on Japan. Gran Zairus descended to Earth, sent by the Crisis Empire to begin their full-scale invasion. Teaming up with Bozgun, Gran Zairus wasn't just another Kaima monster. He was on an entirely different level. RX was pushed to the brink and outmatched until the ground shook with the arrival of the 10 veteran Kamen Riders, legends, assembled to rescue RX from Gran Zairus' devastating might. But Bozgun wasn't about to stand quietly in the shadow of Gran Zairus. Whether it was bravery or the world's biggest case of job insecurity, Bozgun was ready to settle the score with RX in his own way. Kotaro with the 10 senior riders tried to take on Gran Zairus. But Gran Zairus shrugged off every attack, his body seemingly invincible. He transformed into a roaring fireball and hurled himself at the riders. The 11 heroes were scattered like leaves in a storm. Even Robo-Rider's heavy armor couldn't withstand Gran Zairus' overwhelming power. The attempt left him injured, struggling to stand. Revitalized after showered by Kyoko's Water of Life, Kotaro transformed into Bio-Rider, shifted into fluid, gliding along the streams of water Kyoko summoned. In one swift, daring move, Bio-Rider rode the torrent straight into Gran Zairus' body. Gran Zairus exploded along with Bio-Rider. Wasting no time, Maribaron summoned the fallen Kaima monsters, resurrected from the afterlife, to overwhelm the remaining 10 riders. General Jark was forcefully transformed into the ultimate monster, Jark Midler. A final chance granted by the Crisis Emperor after Jark's repeated failures. As Dasmader dispatched the Chaps to attack the remaining humans in the city, Jark Midler began his ruthless hunt for Kotaro and his crew's hideout. This battle was deeply personal for Kotaro. After what Jark had done to Shunkichi and Utako Sahara, Kotaro carried both grief and fury into the confrontation. But Jark Midler wasn't just another monster. He was the ultimate monster. Even with the 10 senior riders still nearby, Kotaro refused their help. This was his fight, one he had to face alone. The clash was brutal. Jark Midler's overwhelming power pushed RX to his limits again and again. But RX stood his ground, driven not just by duty, but by the pain of the innocent lives already lost. No backup, no retreat, just Kotaro versus the ultimate monster. An emotional, devastating showdown that would push RX to the edge. Colonel Dasmader's true identity finally revealed. He wasn't just an inspector sent by the Emperor, but he was the Crisis Emperor's own duplicate body. Suddenly, everything made sense. His impossible survivals, his constant returns, his obsession with RX. The final confrontation between RX and Dasmader unfolded with the intensity and atmosphere of a galactic showdown, as if ripped straight out of a Star Wars climax. Two destinies colliding, one empire on the brink, and no room left for retreat. In a shocking revelation, Dasmader shows RX the truth. The Crisis Empire's homeland is Kaima space, a dark mirror of Earth itself. Their planet isn't just somewhere out there in the galaxy. It's Earth's twin from the Kaima Realm, a shadow world where their sinister empire thrived long before invading our world. At last, the Crisis Emperor reveals his true form, a gigantic head with 3 small heads on his forehead. The final battle against the Crisis Emperor may look easy for RX, but was it really? To me, the Emperor wasn't fighting to win. He was fighting to end everything. By this point, he had lost his general, his commanders, even his so-called loyal elite. The Crisis Empire, once a terrifying force, had crumbled before his eyes. And an empire without followers isn't an empire at all. So when he unleashed that massive blast meant to vaporize both himself and RX, it was resignation. A ruler with nothing left but his own pride and the desire to take his enemy with him. In the end, RX stood victorious not because the Emperor was weak, but because the Emperor was already defeated long before the final blow. Alright, that wraps up today's chaos. If you thought RX already pulled off some wild moves, just wait, because we're about to go even deeper. Coming up next, Kamen Rider Black RX, weapons and special moves. From the iconic Revolcane to the I didn't know he could do that. We're breaking down every insane technique in his arsenal. So hit that like button, smash subscribe, and brace yourself. Because RX's arsenal is about to blow your mind.